Digital art isn't real art. Just kidding, I just wanted to start with something controversial because today we are just going to have a simple discussion on how I revised this koi piece into something a little more rich, complex, and interesting. So, the original piece started very loose. I wanted to recall Pisces and the way that Aphrodite rose from the ocean, so we have a little heart and a shell. So if we're thinking about the Venus painting, that might make a little more sense to you. This painting was so much fun to revise. It felt really good to have some time away from it to think about what I might want to do with it in the future, or to just look at it with new eyes. So if you're frustrated with a piece, just put it away for later. You may have some inspiration that strikes you once you get a little more experience with digital artwork. So, my lovely friends, I started out as a traditional artist. I have no background in graphic design, and I was gifted a tablet by some lovely friends of mine, and I had no idea what to do with it. It was one of those that you plug in and you have to look at the screen, and there's no like LED screen. I don't know anything about technology. I'm sorry. I'm a boomer at heart, even though I'm firmly a millennial. I feel the idiocy around certain types of technology, but there was no screen on the tablet. So I was just looking at the screen of my computer, and it was very different from like drawing on a piece of paper where you get to look at the piece of paper and see what you're doing. You get what I'm saying, etc. Traditional art was something that I was very comfortable with, and moving to digital, it felt like I had to learn to draw and paint all over again. So if you're new to using Procreate, don't be discouraged. It's totally normal to feel like a fish out of water, which is an appropriate turn of phrase for this video in particular. So the first thing that I wanted to consider was that the original koi painting had a transparent background just so I could easily use it as a logo, and I was thinking about putting it on my Redbubble store or my Society6 store when I initially painted it. So this time I was like, well, I want to have a real background, and I want to firmly situate this painting into space. Purple is just something I lean towards now. I do love me some purple, and I love having purple against orange and yellow, just having that clashing intensity, but also complementary colors. We love to see them, you know. So I just wanted to add a little boost to the interest of the painting. I also wanted to add some variety to the koi. So here you'll see me adding in a variety of patterns and textures and smoothing out the koi so they're a little softer but still more interesting to look at. And I wanted to break up the symmetry that I initially had with the koi. So they are different koi, but similar koi. They're cousins, not identical twins. The joy of reworking a piece in Procreate is that if you don't like it, you can always have a saved duplicate of the previous version, or you can try out a bunch of different versions. One of the things I learned recently is that Vincent van Gogh had various versions of his paintings, so he would just copy an initial from life quote-unquote sketch painting. So a plein air painting where he went outside and he painted the landscape or whatever. If it was a still life, again, a loose interpretation, and then he'd take it back to a studio or whatever, and he would think about various ways he could approach painting this. So he'd take another canvas or a few other canvases and paint it again. So don't be afraid of trying out different things with your pieces, especially when you don't have to think of like the cost of materials. Paint is intensely expensive, and it feels really bougie and gross to discredit digital artists when, you know, digital artists may choose digital for a variety of reasons. One being a limitation of space, limitation of funds. Purple paint is expensive, my friendos. And, you know, don't discredit the amount you will save by switching to digital. I'm just saying. Think about the big picture when choosing digital or traditional, and I do a mixture of both. Sometimes I just play around with traditional because I've got the urge to, you know, make something with my hands. Sometimes I just want to chill on the couch and I don't want to worry about getting paint on the couch, so I just digitally paint on the couch. Like, how cool is that we can paint in a variety of places, that we don't have to bring our entire box of paints to go to a cafe and draw or digitally paint. It's so cool. I love technology and the ways that it enables us to do art in a variety of places. So you see that I've switched the background to a light blue here. I was just playing around with the background. And again, this would take so long if you were playing around in a traditional medium to go ahead and just change it all to another color. And believe me, I have done that. When I was a studio art minor, I was changing backgrounds all the time because something just wasn't working right in a painting. You see me changing tones on these fish a ton. Again, I work and rework over and over again. And some of you might be frustrated with this, like, why is she continuing to work on the same thing? It's like, well, it didn't feel right, man. So again, this is one of these casual conversations where we just chat through some of the work, my dudes. I really love how this ends up coming out. We haven't even gotten to the background. Should we speed it up? I think we should speed it up where I start doing the background discussion. So let's pause the commentary and get to where I start work in the background. Alright, so for this section of the process, I started by playing around with different darker shades just to see how the contrast would look with the orange and the yellow, and then I started playing with the radial symmetry tool. So if you try new things in Procreate, you will be surprised and delighted. Don't overwhelm and try to do every feature all at once, but don't be afraid to try new stuff. Again, all you have to do is delete the layer if you don't like it. If something's not working out, it's fine. Just let yourself make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. I don't know why I just got into this like guru kind of stuff, but I added some bubbles here. Who doesn't love bubbles? I'm really trying to figure out how to paint bubbles. In all of my paintings recently, I think I'm just incorporating bubbles for the laughs. So it's a lot of work of going and doing each individual bubble. If I was smart, I would do a layer of just bubbles, and I would make a few really good bubbles, and then I would copy and paste bubbles all over the place so I didn't have to make each individual one. So lessons learned for next time, my friends. You think I have all the answers, and I do not. It's really funny to watch other artists and you're like, they're so smart. I'm never gonna be that smart. We are all dumb. We just learn from the times we are dumb. So you see more contrast coming in here. Again, I'm playing with the edges of the fish. Again, I'm on another layer for the background and all that stuff, so as to not paint over the fish. I want to make sure that they stand out, and I hate accidentally painting over an edge, but there are edges I'm being very cognizant of in terms of making sure that the fish don't look like they've been stamped onto the background. I want to make them feel like they're incorporated without making it look like I just made a mistake. So they look like they're swishing around, like they're actually in water. They've got their own little whirlpool type situation. So as we're rounding out this time lapse, it has been a joy to chat with you. Today I had a meeting with my dissertation director, and again, I passed my dissertation defense a little bit ago, like 3 weeks ago. And so I had a meeting today. We are doing final edits on the dissertation, and then graduation's coming up, and it's very exciting. I'm starting to, again, apply for jobs. And I say starting, I've been applying to jobs for months, but in that process. But doing art has been a great relief. Working on the Etsy shop has been a great relief. I think that art has been a way to find balance in my life, whenever I feel overwhelmed by work, quote unquote, art finds its way into my life again. And when I'm not doing art, I find that I am not doing as well mentally as, than if I were incorporating art into my daily practices. It feels meditative for me, so I'm curious if art plays a meditative role in your life. Regardless of skill level, experience, education, do you find art meditative? So here's the freeze frame of the end result, and thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends.